It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
I am here.
Pretty good.
Boy, that was so freaking encouraging. Hope everybody out there is doing a lot better than we are. So
Or is at least better at faking it, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. One or the other. I was trying to be positive.
I did. Me too. I said good.
Yeah, after that 10-minute pause. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Too god dang much. Oh man. My mind went blank. Hang on one second. Okay.
Too much happened.
I know I've done some stuff. Saturday, I spent a lot of time watching just crap. Well, I wouldn't say crap. Netflix just released the Fall of the House of Usher. Oh man, it was kind of funny. I mean, not the movie, but it was kind of funny because we had just had that conversation last week, and I was like, there's not a lot that just scares me anymore, and it's been a while, and there was quite a few points in this series where I was holding my breath, and it was like, no, they're not going to do that. There was... Now, it was a jump scare, but it wasn't meant to be... I guess it was meant to be as a jump scare, but you know how you can usually see those set up pretty good, and it's like, that was lame. This one totally took me by surprise. I was not expecting what was going on. I'm thoroughly impressed. I know there's been some backlash, of course. Anytime you mess with great literature, there will always be some backlash. And I will not say that this is a purist representation of Poe. I think if Poe was writing in present day and took some of the current things that was going on or has happened, this would be it. I think they did an excellent job bringing it into modern day and made it fit. And like I said, although it wasn't a direct, play out the story kind of thing, I'd say about 10 different short stories of Poe was represented very well in this. So you get a lot of it. And it's little things that they paid attention to. One of the guys' name in it was Toby. So she kept going, Toby, damn it, Toby. I mean, and of course, that's one of the main characters in one of Poe's, works and stuff. So it was like, wow, that was pretty cool. And it was just this guy's name. But it wasn't Toby, damn it, from the story, But that story was in here. But yeah, so like I said, I really loved the way that they handled this. Of course, it's not. I won't spoil it, but spoiler: the beginning of it starts off, and he is burying the last 3 of his 6 children, and you know from the first 2 minutes that Roger Usher has lost all of his children at this point. And that's kind of when it creeps into what happened. And like I said, I won't go into a lot of details there, although if you are familiar with Poe's work, you kind of know what happened there. A deal was made, and that everything that followed. Each episode kind of represents a death of each child because, like I said, there is 6 of them. Some of them, not every episode. I mean, every episode had someone dying, but some episodes it was 2 of the kids or 1 of the kids. But episode was always, one of the kids dying, and it kind of centered around that child instead of the whole story. But I think that they did a wonderful job of making each one of these standalone stories fit into the main story so perfectly. It could have been a standalone episode, but it was, it was all one thing. You had a beginning and an ending to this, so there won't be a season 2. Spoiler alert, no season 2. I would like to see them get a hold of some other work of his that they didn't put in here and kind of go see where that takes them. But I had heard that this is Mike Flanagan's last deal with Netflix. I think he started off with The Midnight Club, did House on Haunted Hill, The Haunting of Blythe Manor, the Usher one, and there's one other one that I'm forgetting. But he did five movies or series for Netflix. So he'll go on from here and do something else. But like I said, I liked it. If you're a fan of Poe, big fan, you may not care for some of the liberties that he took. I think if you're a fan like I am, I don't know the works by heart. I mean, some of them I do, but some of them I don't. I know the stories, and I think that they did a really good job representing these. The Raven could not have been done any better. I forget the actress's name. Is her name, but she's been in his other stuff too. And hang on, let me find her name, because if I don't, that's going to bug me. Her name is Carla Gugino.
Carla Gugino?
Yes, Gugino. There you go. If they don't notice her for some of the parts that she did in this movie, the Academy is stupid. She played 7, maybe 8 different characters in this series, and it nailed each one of them. I mean, and one of them, she kind of takes the spirit of a chimpanzee, and just, oh man, girl is wonderful. Like, she's also been in like 3 out of those 5 movies that he did for Netflix too. So she's done a lot of his work with them. But yeah, and then I heard that, I guess it's Kate Siegel is married to Mike Flanagan, and she's in a lot of his stuff. I didn't know that. Some people don't like that, but hey, if my husband was making movies, you better damn well please, I'm going to be in it. I'm going to star in it. Yeah. That's what I said I do for. So I don't seem to mind that as much as other people do. But yeah, like I said, this
And on a
one's...
related note, Liz will be starring next year in a movie as Lily Munster.
Right, full time. But yeah, I like I said, if they can act the way that his wife can, I don't mind that. Now Sherry Moon, yeah, some of that I mind. But I also watched another. Well, with House of Usher though, if you like horror, this one was done very well. There is a lot of blood, but it wasn't. I think one of the complaints I had before is that with horror movies, they seem to think that a lot of blood means horror. So it was excessive, but it was meant to be excessive in this one. Not just for the gore factor, but what was happening. If it wasn't bloody like that, I'd be going, what the fuck is wrong with them? You tear someone's head off and there's going to be some blood. So it was kind of like that. It fit. It wasn't over the top in anything, I would say. Too much of this and it makes it cheesy. And I think he did a really good job of keeping the whole thing horror. And although that you know what was happening, I was pleasantly surprised through a lot of this. Just because, like I said, bringing it up to modern day did change some of the stories. Stories you do know, like Telltale Heart, that's like most popular one probably other than The Raven. The way that they handled that story, beautiful. I would have gone mad, and they totally led you up to that, you know. Some, and that was another thing with doing each death an episode apiece. Each character had their own arc, which was nice because we got to know them. Now, the type of people these were, they were definitely not people where you're like, oh, they died. It was kind of like, wow, I'm surprised someone hasn't killed them before, you know. But it was nice knowing the character and what drove them, because when you see the end of them, it's kind of like, wow, they died the way they lived, you know. And for the most powerful, predominant family, they didn't live too nicely. So some of the ends were nice to see, you know. But yeah, like I said, check that one out for sure. Hulu, I think it was Hulu, also released a documentary. I've talked to you guys before about McCamey Manor. It's a immersive haunted house where they like torture you for hours upon hours, and you sign a consent form to allow them to do this to you, you know. They have finally done a documentary on it. A lot of the footage used, though, was things that we've seen before. It wasn't really anything new. I can't say that they really added any new information on McCamey Manor. The documentary was kind of all over the place. They talked a lot about when he was in Illinois, but he's currently in Tennessee. And they didn't touch on Tennessee very much, which is what we're most curious about. Because I think at one time he did have a haunted house. And I think he did hurt a lot of people in this haunted house. But I think once he moved to Tennessee, I think he's lied. And he's hyped this up that he has this haunted house, but he doesn't have this haunted house anymore. His big shtick is if you can make it all the way to the end of this haunted house without tapping out, he'll give you $20,000, which a lot of people, that's a big motivator. You know, money is a huge motivator in people's lives. But some of the people he talked to, it was like one guy was a soldier, and actually he worked at Guantanamo for a while. And, you know, he was like, I've been in some really high risky areas, and I just kind of wanted to see how far I could push myself, you know. Stupid. But, you know, I kind of can understand that, you know. But I can't. Okay, they have like 3 or 4 people that they talk to that have actually been through this haunted house. And some of them, one of them, I won't even say some of them, one of them I feel bad for. The others, it was kind of like you knew what you were signing up for. You signed a 40-page waiver to get into this place. You fully knew what you were getting into. So it's not like, you know, you signed up for a carnival and you wound up in the House of Horrors. You know, you knew you was going to the House of Horrors. You'd seen the videos of him beating people and stuff. You know what was inside there. You know, why did you do that? You know, to where now here we are 10 plus years later, and now you're going to say, oh, well, this was fucked up. Well, you should have said that before you walked into the damn place. You know? I like horror, but I would never do something like that. I would never. I had to quit going to haunted houses because I don't think it's fair that if you touch me, I'm going to knock you the hell out. That's the way I was raised, you know. And you can't do that, so.
You like horror, but only when it happens to other people.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy though because one of the girls who they interview in this documentary, she was like, I have very high anxiety, and the way she described it was like, oh my God, that's it. She said the reason why she likes horror is although she has anxiety, with horror movies, it's kind of like a controlled anxiety. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I'm in my safe spot. For me, I grew up watching this stuff, so most of the time when somebody's getting a knife through the eyeball, I'm not going, ew. I'm going, oh wow, I wonder what prosthetic they used to get that knife to stick like that, or I wonder what kind of blood that is. I'm not necessarily going, oh my God, that guy got a knife put through his eyeball. I'm figuring out how they did it, you know? So it kind of makes sense that I like horror because in all of my anxiety and panic attacks, it's the one I can control. It's one that I know I'm okay, you're at home. So I think maybe that's why I like it too, is that little bit of anxiety, but I'm in control. To whereas other times I'm not in control and it controls me. And so, yeah, it's kind of calming. It shouldn't be, but it is. But when she had said that, though, it was kind of like that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense because for people who don't feel like they're in control, it kind of does make you feel like you're in control. I can get up and turn the TV off at any time. I'm not stuck at a table. I'm in my home and, I'm safe. But I don't mind watching it at theaters either. Yeah, so that one, it's called Monster Inside. I won't disagree with the title because I think Russ, who does this, is a monster. I think he has some kind of kink that he fulfills through this haunted house, watching people be done that way. That's basically what he is, I watched it just because I've known about McCamey Manor for years, when I was doing the haunted house thing and everything else too. It was always talked about. It was one of the first immersive haunted houses. There are others out there now that I heard are worse, but he's kind of infamous with his. So I watched it. If you don't like that kind of thing, I wouldn't recommend you watching this at all. It was not very well put together. Like I said, it was a little bit all over the place. Each of the stories being told was told simultaneously, so it was kind of confusing at times. It just, nah, it wasn't even, the only thing scary about it is that there's people who will willingly do this to themselves, and there is a man out there that is more than happy to give it to him. And that's kind of creepy. And I also, I think when I brought it up, I was watching a YouTube series where the guys were like, this is fake. I would actually recommend you to go watch those videos before you watch this one on Hulu. They kind of give you a better understanding of the past of the haunted house and the future or the present of the haunted house. If I was Hulu, I would have gotten with these two guys and talked to them, and they didn't, which is a shame because, like I said, they have a lot of information about this haunted house, and that was kind of missed. So if you watch the series not knowing, you think there's this big, bad, evil haunted house that, people are still being hurt, and they're not. This was years ago. Like I said, I think when he made the move from Illinois to Tennessee, the torture part of it kind of ended, and now it's just a kind of one-on-one kind of thing and no longer a haunted house. So, yeah. So that was, House of Usher was much, much better. A whole lot better.
Just because it's a documentary doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, I kind of thought I would like it better just because I liked the source that they were talking about so much.
Right.
But
But they didn't handle it as well as you'd hoped. I mean, it
no,
happens.
not at all. They, like I said, I don't know. Maybe it was the person who made it. It just wasn't put well together or put together very well. And it kind of surprised me that it was on Hulu.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt very, I don't know, B-list kind of thing, you know? And it could have been pretty good. Um, and for this thing to have operated for so long, I think they could have talked to more than like 3 or 4 people, you know?
Hmm.
So I think it was a missed opportunity. I really do. It kind of feels half complete. I think if he would have touched more on what was going on today, it would have been just a little bit better, but they didn't even mention it today. But if a
You're,
guy's going to give you $20,000 to go through his haunted house, he's not going to be working in the garden center at Walmart, you know, which is where this guy works now. So, yeah, a lot of talk.
yeah, well, it's hard
But
to sustain a living at getting people at paying people to beat the hell out of them.
you know, that's crazy though, because he doesn't charge an entrance fee to this. He charges either 4 cans of dog food or a bag of dog food. He has a couple of dogs, and the rest of it he donates to a local shelter. So he didn't even really make money from this. That's why I'm saying I totally think it's a kink of his, and he was more than willing not to get paid. You know,
Hmm.
he's getting paid, but not in money.
Not in money, right?
Yeah, sick man. Um, it's not very well put together, so I wouldn't even give him the ratings of watching it. You know, and I think that's all I watched. I mean, it was actually quite a bit because House of Usher was 8
Yeah.
episodes.
You binged the whole thing, right?
It was that good. It was kind of one of those I wanted to see what they were going to do next. You know, I
Hmm.
knew they tell you at the very beginning all of these guys are going to die, you know, and it's like I want to see that guy die. You know? He's a perv, he's a jackass. I want to see him dead. So, but yeah,
Damn.
And have you ever watched something though, and it just kind of sticks with you, and you think about it, you know, and you keep thinking about it after you've watched it, and that's been that's been that for me. It's like I keep thinking of things, and it's like, oh wow, you know, that was in there. So it very thought provoking, and like I said, the main characters, you won't like them. They don't want you to like them, you know. So pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of wondered when we were talking about it before. I'm like, it could go any number of ways, but it's good to
Yeah,
hear that it hit on some level anyway.
it did. And like I said, it's all of the stories. Each episode is named after a story, but they did make a good point of it being different. Like in the Telltale Heart, spoiler, it's not a heart underneath the floorboards, but it is a heart, you know. So that was kind of, yeah, you know, it was kind of neat how that was played in, you know. And then I won't say that. It's too new.
Yeah,
As I said,
leave something
there's
for the imagination. Jeez,
yeah,
give people
and
a reason to watch it.
yeah, yeah. I won't spoil it because it's that good. For me at least,
Uh-huh.
it was that good.
Cool.
Okay, Mikey.
Oh gosh, I was afraid you were going to say that. Um,
Okay,
'cause
Les.
Don't do that. He'll let you.
I will too, because especially since I other than keeping up with what we're working on for Horror Month, I haven't had time to do much of anything else. I've been kind of busy otherwise, so nothing exciting for me.
Mm. Okay, Les.
I was wondering if you were going to ask that. Uh,
Deep question, I understand.
I'm going to say that I was mainly just taking in the assignment for this week, and I even sat down with my wife to watch this.
Ooh.
Wow.
And of course, she came in late, so I had to stop and explain everything to her.
Tell her to read the book.
Yeah. But other than that, I hadn't really done much. But I'm also happy I hadn't, because I enjoyed the movie we're going to present tonight. I thought it was grand. So
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Uh, okay, for me, not a lot. I had other things kind of going on, taking up my time. I posted something in our private portion of the Discord, but I have been jonesing to see seasons 4 and 5 of Mission Impossible, which I've been watching on Pluto TV. And I got to the point where because what they've been doing for several months has been the first 3 seasons and then 6 and 7, which season 6 is, in my opinion, is not a very good season. Then 7 was a little better, but not much. But I've been wanting to see 4 and 5 because those are the 2 seasons that Leonard Nimoy was on. So I reached out to Pluto. I sent them an email saying, hey, is there any possibility of getting these seasons back? And if we gotta lose 6 and 7, I'm okay with that. That's okay. Because, I have noticed, I can't say this for all the channels, but they don't show all episodes. Back when I was watching Bar Rescue, when I was watching that pretty intensely, I noticed that they were not showing some episodes. Some of them they can't for legal reasons. There had been issues behind the scenes or whatever where they can't show them. Matter of there's one episode that quote unquote never got aired. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar heard about this story. There was one. I think it was in Tennessee, but I could be wrong. They filmed the episode, and the night before it aired, the owner of the bar went after the singing act of the night because he was smoking in the bar, and that was a no-no. So he shot and killed the guy.
Yowie.
Damn.
A little extreme.
So the night before the episode aired, so they yanked off the 8 o'clock viewing. Here's the problem. They do a repeat at like 11, and Spike forgot about that. So it showed at 11.
Oh, no.
Whoops.
And if you dig around on the internet, it's available. You can watch it. But beyond that, there's episodes where they just don't show, and it's like, okay. So in terms with Mission Impossible, they obviously only show 5 and 7 seasons. I did that right around just before the first of the month. And literally that Wednesday morning, I spent like Sunday night, early Wednesday morning, season 4 started.
Cool.
Dang.
And well, I think, yeah, I'm a god. I know. Bow down before me.
We're not worthy.
Or not?
Nope.
I think it was just a timing issue since it was the first of the month and they switched things over, more than likely. So I just happened to contact them at the right time. But I've been watching that. So yeah, I'm going back and watching seasons 1 through 3, which I've seen thousands of times, and now I'm seeing 4 or 5 again. But it's so funny. Just the other day, I watched the very first episode, the pilot, and I got to one scene, and I went, "What the actual fuck?" I had seen it this many times, and I'm like, "Why didn't I catch this before?" And I spent the rest of the episode trying to figure out how they would have been able to fix it. And what I'm talking about, the plot is the team takes a mission to go to this Latin America country that has 2 warheads, and their task is to get them, take them back, and leave the country. The warheads are located in a vault of a hotel, which also doubles as like the headquarters, and the leader, the leader / general is located here and all that. Okay, the thing about the vault is it is only open 2 times a day, 11 a.m., 11 p.m. So there is a scene where Cinnamon, played by Barbara Bang, went up to the vault clerk, and she's like, I want to take this piece of luggage and I want to put it in the vault. He says, well, I can't do that. It won't be open till tomorrow morning. And then she starts flirting with him and all that. Okay, cut to another scene. This happens, and then cut to the next scene. They're showing them opening the vault. I was like, wait, the vault's not supposed to be able to be opened until 11 tomorrow morning. But like I said, I spent the rest of the episodes like, how could the writers have fixed that? Because it had to go that way for the story to work. But it shouldn't have worked because they couldn't have been able to get into the vault until the next morning.
Yeah.
And I spent like part of the time trying to figure out how to fix that, and the other part like, I have seen this episode so many times. Why am I just now noticing that?
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a big red flag, but I was just so engrossed in the episode. It's a great episode. It's fun to watch, especially the whole fact that Wally Cox is part of the team for this episode. It was like, yeah, one of these things is not like the others. That he's playing the safecracker, which is like, well, it makes sense. They're trying to get into a vault. He's a safecracker. But it's just, there's times I really love stuff like that, and that there's times where I really hate stuff like that, because it's like I said, how I should have been able to notice that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I was engrossed in the episode and all that you don't think about that kind of stuff.
Cinnamon's flirting worked on you.
Well, it worked on a lot of people, because I'm sure there's people in there that had not noticed, not even thought about that. But it's nice to have those seasons back. So if you've not seen them, season 4 is pretty strong. Season 5 is decent. So I definitely recommend watching them, if that's something you like to do.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. it's just kind of fun to see Nimoy kind of branch out a little bit. Not that he didn't as Spock, because they let him do some things to kind of break away from the emotionless, stoic, But he gets to do a lot more in these 2 seasons, and it's kind of nice to see.
Yep, would be fun just for that.
Yeah, and it sounds like he had fun. He had fun doing it, so which is cool. Which is also nice to know.
Yep.
All right, before we get into this week's discussion, I do want to point out that we do have a Discord that's open for anybody to come join us. Discord sign up is free. It's free in the app stores. We do have an open invitation on our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. We post a lot of news items, stuff for discussion, stuff to laugh at, videos, music, trailers. We'll do some fun activities. We've done a couple of movie showings the last couple of weekends. We may do another one here in not too distant future. Who knows what else we'll be doing? So there's usually 1 or 2 of us online all the time. So if you big fans of the show and want to hang out with us when we're not doing the show, come join our Discord.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Fun.
Be like us.
I mean,
okay.
okay.
One of us.
I do
supposed
need
to be like Mike. Be like Mike.
Why?
Because it rhymes and it sounds better.
Uh-huh. It's fine if you're talking about Michael Jordan. That's great, but not a lot of people can do that either.
I need to break down and watch Freaks. I have not seen that yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should.
Yeah, please. You will not be disappointed.
It's not like I've been trying to avoid it or anything. It's just not something that's been on top of mind. But yeah, I'll find it. Okay, speaking of movies, we are in the home stretch of horror month. Almost over, guys. Woohoo! For this year, our theme is 50 sci-fi horror. And this definitely fits. This is from 1958. And it's titled It, The Terror from Beyond Space. The film that a lot of people cite was a partial influence to the original Alien film. I have not seen anything that says that is exactly the case, but it's kind of cool to think. If you think about it, you could see it.
Oh yeah.
You can definitely see it. So let's talk about It.
It.
Not the clown.
Yeah, this one I had to make notes on.
Ooh, okay. That's a new one.
I didn't know that Father McCahey, was that his name? From Little House on the Prairie? I didn't know he was going to be in this. And when I saw the eyes and I heard the voice, it was like, why do I know that? A lot younger, a whole lot younger, but that was pretty cool. I didn't get a lot of what these people were doing. It started off, guy was going to be court-martialed because 9 of them went to space and only 1 of them was coming back. And so they thought he had murdered all of these people. So when they get up there in their spaceship and they're taking them back, He talks to a girl for like 2 seconds and they fall in love.
You noticed that too, huh?
Yeah. I see the theme though in these older ones. If a girl looks at you and holds your gaze for 2 seconds, you're engaged. It's just the way it works.
Twas
Well,
the
that's-
time.
That's all it takes.
Well, it helps is when you have the leading man looks, you know,
Yeah. Well, and she
or
had
close
the
somewhat like it.
2 good-looking guys, and one of them, after he was hurt by this thing, now it was his foot, but you would swear that it's his ears because she's sitting here talking and being all flirty with this other guy right in front of the guy who's dying that she's supposed to be with. It's like, honey, it's his foot, not his head. He can hear you. So I thought that was kind of rude. And I didn't understand that if you have this thing contained on the bottom of your ship, why do you keep opening the hatch and poking it? Just leave them alone. Wait till you land. Let them deal with it. You know? Not your problem.
Let's increase the carnage. There you go.
Yeah. Let's get this guy killed too. And they kept using this air hatch to walk on the outside of the rocket. Why not just kick the lizard thing into space? Wouldn't that have made more sense than gas bombs and grenades and everything else on your rocket ship? You've still got to spend a little bit more diamond.
Not gonna lie, I thought the same thing. I was like, why aren't we putting this friggin' thing in an airlock? I mean, come on, just blow it
Yeah.
out into space and be done with it.
Or the guy who's dying, have him chase you out.
Right.
You know?
Stuff him in an airlock and then
Yeah.
use him as bait.
Y'all can go. You know?
Right.
We'll fire up the engines and we'll get the hell out of here, man. So I didn't get that either. Although I thought it was kind of funny when they were going to execute him. And he's walking down the stairs and they zap him. Did y'all see where it kept zapping him? It was zapping him in the butt.
I think it was supposed to be zapping him in the hands, but yeah, it wasn't exactly accurate.
It was his butt. And I noticed he stayed on the stairs for a few extra seconds.
Yeah, he didn't seem to mind it too much, did he?
He liked that.
Ooh, that tickles.
And then even after chasing the guy, he went back to the stairs. Oh, man. Oh, and also when they have the guy down there, and he's hiding because, well, he's not really hiding. He's just in a spot where this lizard can't get him. And they're like, how are you doing? Okay, well, I'm about to die, and they're like, can you breathe or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I can breathe with what's left in my tank. Did you guys see his face mask? It is all but ripped off of him. How are you breathing through your tank?
Okay, that wasn't the tank he was talking about. He wasn't talking about breathing. He was talking about how much longer he could stay alive.
Oh,
But he was talking
okay.
about the flamethrower in his hand, the torch.
Okay.
I can make it until this tank runs out. He was talking about the torch that he was keeping the creature at bay with.
Okay, that makes more sense. But I'm thinking, no. Because he had just said that his spacesuit wasn't doing too well.
Yeah.
No,
it got torn up.
it's shreds. Although I thought it was awfully cute that they thought silk was going to save them from space.
Yeah.
One of the most delicate fabrics we have. Let's take it to space.
Well, it was science fiction,
Yeah.
I mean, it was 1973 for crying out loud. It was way in the future.
Way, way in the future. Which that was kind of cool, too. Because, that would have been 23 years from when this was made?
Yeah, it was like 25 years later. But no, 15. I'm sorry. It's 15 years later.
Yeah, I guess there was just a few choices I would have made a little differently. I definitely wouldn't have been using grenades on my rocket.
Well, firing a gun inside it probably isn't the most brilliant idea either, but I guess it's a suspension of disbelief thing.
Now, no, I won't go there.
Oh, go there.
In science, in space, I don't think you would be able to fire a gun.
In space, you wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah.
You'd have to have, because, I mean, you have to have the oxygen to get the spark.
To get the combustion.
But
well, and I'm even meaning the snap you have to make with the trigger and everything else too would be kind of hard.
Nah, that's spring loaded.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Spring loaded. That could happen.
And your bullet's definitely not going to fly out of there.
Well, I mean, with quote unquote artificial gravity, it should theoretically be fine.
Yeah, I
mean,
guess
between
so.
Between artificial gravity and the air pressure, I mean, the problem is what happens when it hits the wall.
Yeah.
How strong is the material you've made your rocket ship out of?
Silk.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. When they were walking on the side of it, it looked like concrete.
Yeah, I mean, looked reasonable to me, right? They didn't even try to explain that shit either. That was
They didn't.
Which I actually applaud. I thought it was great. They didn't bother trying to explain it. They're like, well, of course it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't it be? It's all made up. And,
I kind of took it was the boots.
Yeah, but that idea came later in different movies. They did kind of shuffle walk down the side of that ship, but they didn't say anything about why or how.
Or how they could stand upright.
And I thought I liked that part. I was happy that they didn't try to explain shit like that.
Yeah.
Let people fill in the blanks themselves.
I thought it was the boots because when that guy got his leg stuck and broke his leg, I thought that's how he got his leg stuck. It's because the boot, you kind of saw it like
Maybe
snap on.
It was magnetic or something and grabbed a hold of something it shouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks. Yep.
Yep.
And for how old the movie was, the effects weren't that bad. There was a lot of damn dials in that control room, though.
Yeah, they didn't try to over complicate it, which is where, I mean, not to bring it back up again, but I think that's where The Fly ran into problems for me. Was they were trying to overcomplicate it. They were trying to make it complicated, and they just
make it snazzy.
Yeah, which worked in some ways and didn't in others. And again, I don't really mean to go back to that, but they just sort of didn't with this one, and they kept it as simple as they could, and
it worked.
I'm sure they didn't need a ton of budget for special effects because they probably again sunk all of their special effects budget into the costume for the monster. And the tiny little sets that they had, and they were done. Everything else, they just sort of made it look cool and didn't worry about it.
The first shot we see of the monster is his feet, and that should have been a shot we never saw. That's when you see how rubbery and non-fitting this suit fit the monster, you know. Especially when he walked, you could almost hear that rubber slapping.
A little. I did like that before the first time you see the monster, you see its shadow several times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice build-up.
Mm-hmm.
And for how cheap the feet looked, when you got to the face, I think they did a really good job on the face on this one, though. It reminded me of that episode of Twilight Zone with the pig people, where she's so ugly, you know. It kind of reminded me of something like that, but maybe a little more slimier.
Yeah.
It was just the feet and the hands. It was like...
Well, when you have to be able to move it and do things in it, it makes it harder to make it look good.
It does.
You have to keep it flexible because if it's just a mask, you can just make it solid and it doesn't matter and it'll hold its shape and look scary. It's easier to sculpt that way, but I mean, like we found out, it'll have dropped by now. As we found out in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, when it has to be flexible, that's when it's going to look cheesy as hell sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. And it wasn't that bad. Like I said, it was just the feet. I was kind of surprised when you looked at some of the other detail of the costume that he was wearing. And it was better than the Christopher Lee one where we saw the zipper on the back. You didn't see the zipper on this one.
Oh.
And you can definitely tell the actor that they had under the suit really filled this suit out. So if he would have gotten sick, I don't think anybody else could have wore that suit, But it wasn't like a skin tight leotard the way that they usually cheaped out,
Oh, right. They kind of buffed it up.
Yeah.
They made him big.
But I'm thinking the actor underneath it was kind of buff.
Yeah. Almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were, was it gas? I think when they were gassing him, he's pulling at his face mask. It's like, dude, don't do that.
Right. No kidding. We can't fix that. Don't
do it.
Don't screw it up.
But that's the only time that you really could tell that it was, really ill-fitting.
Mm.
I mean, other than that, there's not a lot to the story. You're in a rocket for over an hour of this film, so there's not a lot you could do to the story.
It's a very small space.
Yep.
It's a haunted house movie,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. And each level they had to do something. Yep.
They were trying to take ground from it, and then they were losing ground to it. And to answer that question of yours, the main reason they kept going down there was because they needed supplies.
Mm-hmm.
And also to figure out that they weren't actually containing it. It did smash through the hatches a couple of times.
When they started talking and stuff, though, did you notice that? It would only go to those hatches when he heard it talking. So shut up. Don't say anything.
I think they did a lot until they were trying to bait it. Right. If you can't lock it down any better than that.
Entertained long enough to go downstairs and get some blood and everything else. Get your friend out of there, man. That should have been the first thing. Guy up here is going to die because you can't heal an alien bacteria. So why are you so concerned about blood instead of the guy who is alive? Dead man walking upstairs, save the guy downstairs,
Right. It's one of those tough choice things that people in charge have to make, and sometimes they make the right decision and sometimes they don't, and they're making it on the fly. And
the fly.
I mean, it may not be. No, damn it! I did not do that on purpose.
I was not going to say anything.
I did not do that on purpose. I'm tired. I can't help it. But yeah, it may not be the smartest thing, but it's actually kind of realistic. It kind of adds to the humanity of the whole thing.
Yeah. It was okay. I'm just not into.
I was wondering what your
movies.
actual opinion was. You went through all of that, and I still couldn't tell whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I really, I do. I think for the time period they did very well. Because 51, we hadn't even made it to the moon yet, had we?
We hadn't made it in 58 when this movie came out either.
Oh, yeah. Why did I say 51?
I don't know.
Maybe that was the last movie. Yeah.
No, it was actually also 58, but yeah.
Yeah. Was it? Okay.
You're behind.
Yeah. Put the shovel down, Liz. Put the shovel down.
I've watched it, but I don't think I would go back and rewatch this.
I hear Les sigh.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, Les. I thought it was awesome.
Like I said, as far as effects and stuff go, I think it was a pretty good story. It's not that it was a bad movie. I'm just not really into space movies that much.
Mm-hmm.
So
good to know.
Yeah.
Did y'all catch who wrote this?
No.
Jerome Bixby.
And I saw it was Bixby. Is he related to Bill?
No, but he wrote the episodes Mirror Mirror, Requiem for Methuselah, Day of the Dove, and By Any Other Name. Those are classic Star Trek episodes.
Oh.
He also wrote It's a Good Life. That was a Twilight Zone episode about the boy who had the powers, originally done by Bill Mumy.
Yeah.
And also co-wrote Fantastic Voyage.
Cool.
Another science fiction classic.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Let's get your thoughts. I know you've been waiting.
I like this movie so much that I watched a different movie.
Uh-oh.
You really
You
did
watched
watch
The
The Clown,
Clowns.
didn't you?
No. No. You listed what? What was the listing for the movie? The name of it?
The Terror from Beyond Space.
I watched It Conquered. It came from outer space.
I almost watched that one too.
The Roger Corman movie. And I apologize, I did not watch the correct movie.
Even
Yes!
with me giving
Yes!
Oh.
I get
even
past
with
my
me giving you
baton!
the links on Discord. Okay. All right. I give up. I'm gone. I'm out.
It was my fault.
Yeah,
It's my
I mean,
fault. I understand that.
you know what, Les? I completely understand and I sympathize with you.
But I watched the Corman movie with Beverly Garland, Lee Van Cleef, who is the lead? Peter Graves.
Mm-hmm.
It also had Jonathan Hayes and Dick Miller. Jonathan Hayes was noted for doing Little Shop of Horrors. And Dick Miller, of course, was for being Dick Miller. So I apologize. I watched the incorrect movie, but I thoroughly giggled at it because it was so bad. And that's it for me. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Okay, we'll see how many more black hole jokes we get. We'll just say that.
Oh, I'm sure they're coming.
Folks, you can lead them in the water. You can't make them drink. Sorry.
Hey, I'm actually a little bit surprised that doesn't happen more often around here.
Yeah.
As rinky-dink an operation as we are in general.
And I'm surprised I've only done it twice. No, but you know that little falling out of your stomach you feel when someone else starts to describe the movie? I sympathize with
I
it.
don't have that feeling. I take that back. I have had that feeling a couple of times, but it's because I got confused when somebody else started talking. I thought they were talking about something else, or they started talking about something else on a tangent or something. I'm like, oh shit, did I watch the wrong movie? No, it didn't happen. But
Well, for me, it was true. It was the wrong movie.
Yeah.
I mean that's an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Not anywhere near for the same reasons, but
It's worse than what was really requested.
oh,
It's
quite a bit.
it's real entertaining when you watch the MST3K version.
I bet.
That's one of the earlier
It
ones
is.
I saw when I was introduced to that. So
It's possible that I saw that years and years ago.
Yeah, I probably made you watch it.
You might have. Okay, so back to It, the Terror from Beyond Space. I did like this movie, and I totally see the parallels between this and Alien. I mean, he most certainly, not only had he watched this movie, he had either watched it many times or he had watched it recently when he was doing starting the screenplay for Alien. He had to have been, because it's got this. I mean, this is going to sound weird given Alien, but it's got a lot of the same vibe.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, now that you say that.
Obviously, it's a monster on a small spaceship.
Like you said, go ahead.
And they definitely gloss over the beginning part where they go to a planet and pick up the facehugger. That's obviously very much glossed over. That was all O'Bannon. But yeah, the feel is there, and I actually enjoyed that the feel was there. It's a cool feeling. It's a cool sense, which is why Alien made such a great movie. But
I go back to your description, and that's what I've been using for the film Alien. It is a haunted house in space. You don't know what's around the corner, what's down the corridor. You know, what was that sound? Is that just the ship settling, or is that the creature's not ready to, in this case, suck the blood out of them? Wasn't that what?
Yeah,
it was sucking all the moisture
like everything.
Out. Oh, the moisture.
Yeah. It was
moisture, that's right.
Sucking the water out of them, basically.
Yeah.
Anything liquid.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I like this film, too. One of the things that kind of got on my nerves after a bit was I kind of wish there was a different way they would do like a transition to a later time. You know, because you would have this scene and all of a sudden you cut back to the ship flying and you hear the weird sound. I guess that's what the ship's engines or something. And then we go back to then we're going to the next scene. It seems like that happens a little too often for my taste. I mean, it's a nitpick. I mean, the rest of it I didn't really pay too much attention. I mean, it's. Yeah, I mean, I get the whole thing with the commander of the second crew getting so jealous and
that guy was a dick.
Yeah, he was a dick the entire thing, and that got on my nerves pretty damn quick too. But yeah, I agree with the whole thing with them with the lead of the what was his name, Carruthers?
Yeah, Carruthers.
Yeah.
And Van Heusen, or was it Anderson? Them fall in love so quickly, yeah. But like you said, that's kind of the product of the
that's the 50s.
Of the time. That's the 50s.
They wanted all kids to believe that all you had to do was touch hands and you were in love.
Yep.
That's how
it got portrayed in movies. Yeah. Anything else? Anytime the camera like pans up from the couple, there's going to be a baby involved. That's just how it works. Especially if there's rocket ships and all of that. Any other phallic symbols you can think of in the cutscene, you know.
Train going into a tunnel, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Coming in and out of the air shaft.
Fire hoses. Those are good too.
See, that was another thing I didn't understand. You threw gas at this thing, bullets, grenades. Fire was working. They should have stuck with the fire. Or why didn't he, set a box in front of him on fire?
Well, you got to be careful with that because you are in enclosed.
Right, you're
location.
still in a spaceship. then you
And
can
he didn't
burn
seem
up
to
all
be
of your oxygen. I mean, that was how they, no, I mean, spoilers for a movie this old. That was how they figured out what they needed to do. That was how they came to the conclusion that we need to blow this thing out the airlock literally an hour after both you and I did.
Yeah.
Because it was the first thing I thought. We'll
Yeah.
blow the fucker out the airlock. I mean, come on.
Get him out of there.
That's
Yeah.
not hard.
But it didn't make sense that taking the air out of the spaceship would kill him. He's been living on Mars
Right.
with
And
no
it killed
face
him
mask.
awfully fast, too. It happened. He suffocated awfully fast.
Very quick. It hit 0 and he was done.
Yeah, which, again, we're hand-waving the science a little bit, but...
Yeah. I mean, I guess we hadn't figured out that there wasn't oxygen on Mars yet. I don't know.
Well, no, they had talked about it being a low oxygen atmosphere, a low oxygen setting. They specifically said that. That was where they got the idea. Was they realized that their own oxygen levels were dropping unnaturally fast, and there were no leaks. So something was taking it all.
I guess I don't get it.
Because it was a very dry
If it
and
was
very oxygen-poor atmosphere.
Right. So why would be, I don't know. Seems like if you take his oxygen away and he lived on a planet that didn't have very much to begin with.
It would take him a while to suffocate. Yeah, it would take him a lot longer to suffocate than it would them.
Yeah,
possibly
they
even
had
with
even
the space
made
suits.
Comment
They had to get
how
their space
big his
suits on.
lungs must be. Yeah.
Right, how powerful. Yeah, and yeah.
Then he dies as soon as it
And
hits
then
0.
the thing hits 0. Boom.
You gone.
Obviously, this Martian had COPD or something. I don't know.
Something. Must have been a smoker or something.
Right. That was why he was scared of the fire, because he was like, I've tried to quit.
I don't have any more cigarettes.
I haven't found y'all's stash of tobacco yet. Come on.
But I keep checking you
Which
guys.
they showed us right up front, so. Right, that's why I keep patting down the corpses here. Trying to find a pack of smokes, man.
Snapping y'all in half and lighting one end ain't working.
Hey, need some damn camels getting on in here. Jeez. I don't think we can take the cigarette gag any further, honestly. But
It went up in smoke.
oh,
And he does.
but
So the way we've described the movie, Les, would you watch it?
Immediately. No, I remember seeing it years ago, but it did not come to mind. So I blew that one. That's all there is to it.
There's a lot of similarly titled stuff.
And you know, when I look this one up on Amazon, it pulls both those movies up. So it looks like it's a common thing for these two.
Now y'all got me thinking, gee, I hope I'm watching the right movie for next week. Shit. Because I didn't use Tom's link
Which
for that.
is, check out what year it's from.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I am redeemed.
2011?
How in the world is that redeemed? I mean, it came out in 1982. What?
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
That was
like,
the
are we
remake.
like
That was the remake.
It came out in 2011. It's that one.
Don't confuse her now, dude.
Yeah.
You will regret it next week.
Don't confuse me.
Man, there you go.
It's sad because the movie does have part of a soap opera name that I used to watch for years. So could be confusing.
The thing from The Young and the Restless. What?
Yeah, something like that.
Frankenstein General Hospital. No,
Mm.
don't watch that either.
No. Sounds like something Alexa would pull up.
Doesn't it though?
Lady Frankenstein.
That's a totally different movie. We could get into that at some point. I haven't watched that in a while.
Lady Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
year was that?
60s.
Late 60s. Hammer, I think. Isn't it a Hammer?
Yeah.
movie?
Is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
just like Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
If we did that one, it would not be the first Martine Beswick movie we've done. But anyway.
No? Mm-hmm. And who knows? Maybe we will.
Maybe. Sure, we'll find.
How's that for a tease?
Sure, we'll find an excuse to cover Hammer movies at some point. As much as we bloody well talk about them.
We have a few.
We've done several.
Wasn't that Halloween one year? The Hammer films? Or no, I don't think it was Hammer.
No, we did
films.
Cushing and Lee.
Peter, yeah.
We did Cushing and Lee, which they weren't all Hammer films. Some of them were, but not all.
I think during that time I watched a lot of the Hammer films.
Cool.
It was Hammer time.
Yeah. Whoa. Get touches.
Wow, we're off base now.
Yeah, we are.
We might as well quit while we're behind.
I think that's becoming a quick theme of the show here.
So, Mikey, would you recommend it?
Oh, absolutely. This is fun stuff.
If nothing else, to see where the idea from Alien came from. Because you watch it and you go, yeah, this is Alien.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Well, and it was some of our first sci-fi movies before we actually made a landing. So I don't think they were too far off. Not bad. Like I said, if it was my genre, I'd probably like it a little better, but...
Right. Don't sing the praises too highly because you just said you didn't like these movies.
I won't.
But no,
this one I wouldn't go back and watch again. I wouldn't. But I can appreciate it because you can definitely see the footprint it's made on our later sci-fi movies. So
yeah, I shouldn't give you crap while you're actually doing that, but I did anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It'd be weird if you didn't.
Yeah, a little. Kinda.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for You. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for You. In this segment, we bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. And for this week, it's Mikey and myself. And Mike, would you like to go first?
Oh, sure. I don't mind going first. So I pulled an article off the Discord from about a week ago as a recording time. It'll be like a week and a half by the time anybody else hears this. And it is from Screen Rant, and it is I don't know if I'd call it a teaser. It might be a teaser thing. It also might just be a random weird theory thing. It's kind of hard to tell. But it's about the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie. And it even describes this as a theory, and the theory is that the new movie is going to include in some way the possibility of time travel. Now, yes, this is me bringing this up, which, I mean, partly because it's just a theory, I think, and also partly because I thought it would be interesting to talk about. Because, I mean, this is the theory that the writer of this article is talking about is dealing as much with the original film series as the current one. And he's talking about ways to kind of align the two in more ways than they already have, because there's already some similarities. I mean, there's some serious differences too, but the idea of making the newer movies kind of fall into place in the canon of the older movies, I think appeals to this writer. How realistic that is, I'm not sure. I've only seen the first of the newer ones. The idea that they're talking about technology, and the idea that, I mean, I find it interesting because this is actually kind of a typical response to the concept of using time travel in a story, and it's that this writer wants these characters or someone in this world to go back in time to fix things. And this is like the big problem, in my opinion, with time travel, is that if you're going to make a movie that, I mean, you can start with the most screwed up dystopian future you can dream up. And if your movie is the idea that somebody's going to go back in time and fix it, what's that going to look like? I mean, what chances of success are you going to give them? And what does success look like in that case? Because I promise you, we've never seen that. That's not how these stories go. That's always the intent behind them, but it never happens. Because to do that, you would turn your hellscape dystopia into this wonderful, perfect society.
In theory.
Technically a utopia, which is where the term dystopia comes from, which is a book that was written like 300 years ago and actually ironically described a society that didn't work as well as it seemed on the surface. It's written by a dude named Thomas More. Look it up. And so we then made the concept of dystopia out of this, because utopia means a perfect, the title was referring to the title of an allegedly perfect society. I'm digressing a little. The idea that you're going to take a shit society and go back in time and fix it so that it's perfect, what's the end of that movie look like? Because I guarantee you it doesn't look like the end of any movie you've ever seen, because it would honestly be boring as hell.
Yeah.
So the whole premise of using time travel in modern media, not even just movies, I mean in anything that you've talked about time travel in, is inherently flawed in that way. It's broken. Time travel is an excuse to screw things up even worse, regardless of the idealistic tendencies of your main characters. I mean, Wells 150 years ago didn't fix anything with his time machine, despite the fact that he seemed to want to try, or the main character did anyway. It just didn't. It doesn't work that way, and it's at this point it's such an old and tired trope that I think they're going. I'm afraid they're going to break their movie franchise at this point if they do this. And it doesn't. I mean, there's just no way it's going to end well, because it's not going to fix anything. It's just, are they so devoid of ideas at this point that that's what they've got? They're gonna miraculously discover this lost technology of time travel and go back in time to fix things that, one, probably don't need to be fixed, and two, if we fixed them, we would screw up our movie so that it would be boring as hell and nobody would watch it? Am I far off here? I mean...
No.
Well, first off, I mean, let's put it back out there that this is a theory, which means that there's nothing to back this up other than someone spending too much time sitting around going, I don't see the desire to match to put the two versions of this franchise together. I don't see there needing to be a need for that. I don't know why there would be a desire to do so. You've taken, the creators have done everything they can to keep the essential, well, more or less the same story, but move as far away as from what we were seeing in the late 60s and early 70s, that version.
Yeah, they've told it in a different way.
They told it in a different way.
And they spent 3 films doing that.
So why do an automatic auto U-turn and try to go back to the original franchise? I don't get it. I think it's best just to move on. I've only seen the first one, and I liked it, but it's never had this intense desire to see the other films. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're fine, but I think there's more stories to tell in this particular version of Planet of the Apes. It just seems like it seems like if that is the desire of the studios, which it could be, who knows? I mean,
yeah.
I don't see anything positive coming from it if they actually went down this path.
Yep, I agree. There's no way that you're just going to break your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that seems counterproductive. I mean, you've already built, like I said, you've got 3 films, and you're greenlit for a 4th, apparently.
Yeah.
Or at least on your way to it. Why would you screw that up?
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
Show me where. I mean, I'm not going to say there haven't been good time travel movies. There have been, but generally speaking, using it as a premise has failed. Yeah. I mean, the whole point of time travel is that what you're trying to do doesn't work because you're supposed to be fixing things, and fixing things would break things. I mean, whether that's story forward or story background, it's still there. So yeah, I think this is all just a load, and it's honestly a surprisingly long article for it being just a theory. I'm a little surprised that this person got so much. I mean, unless he's the owner of ScreenRant.com, I don't know. I mean, more power to him if he is, and if he wants to put his theories out there on his own website, great, go for it. But yeah, I'm not behind this one so much.
Yeah.
If I may, as far as time travel movies go, I'm going to say that a really fine example right now is the Flash movie. Because in this, the title character wants to go back and save his mother from the horrible death that she succumbed to. And it shows all the negative stuff. And there is a slew of it. To me, that was the point of the movie, really, to show how bad that thought process was. And yeah, we get special people showing up, and you get 2 Barry Allens and some other stuff. But you are right. I will agree. You are right that nothing comes good from that thought process. And I personally believe that you are extremely correct in that. And the whole point of that movie was to say that don't mess with time. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. It was very evident as to how bad it was for Alan. So, to me, that was a fine representation of don't mess with it. So if you get the chance, it's a long movie, and it hasn't been critically accepted, but that's fine too.
that doesn't slow us down around here.
Right.
No. Heaven forbid. It's just one of those that has the moral to it right there, right built into the storyline. So, yeah. Give that a try.
Yep.
Maybe they'll come to their senses.
Yeah, nah.
Not much chance, but
I'm going to try not to dump cynically on humanity here, but
why the hell not?
Too late.
Did I answer the right phone calls? Up
Who is down, you? Black is white, cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
Time travel pieces? What?
Like I
Where's
said.
Your pod?
Embrace the pod, Liz. Embrace the pod. Come on. You know you want to.
I mean, the current version of the franchise seems to be doing well, so I mean, why fuck it up? So.
Right. Don't break it.
Didn't Tim Burton do a
Oh, no one mentions that crap of a film.
Oh, okay. So I don't think there was time travel involved.
Yeah, there was.
No, there was.
Was there?
Yeah,
okay.
There was.
I don't think I've seen that one by him.
You have not seen Planet of the Marky Mark? Come on now.
No.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Marky Mark was in it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Burton, what were you doing?
I say that.
He's done a couple of funky projects like that.
That was one.
Yeah.
That was one.
And I think if you want to see time travel done well, Bill and Ted.
Time travel, like I said, there are some good examples out there. Most of them are the ones where they don't take it very seriously.
Yeah.
I think you and Les have both given good examples of that in different ways, but yeah, I mean, the deal is I think Flash is looking at it from the opposite perspective, and yeah, Bill and Ted's just dumb fun, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I saw these.
You're way madder at yourself than we are at you, dude. Trust me.
Yeah. I've been there before.
You'll probably be there again.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I almost watched the clown one, you know.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like 58. Maybe I need to check this again.
The one in the 70s was a remake? What?
Was it Stephen King just like born in 50? I mean,
Stephen King was like 7 years old or something, man. Come on.
Talent.
Telling you, it's crazy.
Yeah. Just oozing at a young age.
Okay, for my article, I'm gonna preface this saying that I gave the guys a heads up on this and actually gave them a link so they can read the article, so they can know a little bit more, so they can be more informed regarding this. There was an article about a week ago. It actually came from a tweet, and I'm still going to call it a tweet, and I'm still going to call it Twitter, so fuck them. Magdalene, I'm going to mispronounce the last name,
Visaggio,
thank you, tweeted that she had presented a pitch to DC involving Connor Kent, the more or less forgotten Superboy, and actually present him as a trans woman. And she actually put a link to her Dropbox so you could read the pitch, which I have, and there is a link in the article. We can put a separate link for the Dropbox links, just in case if you're interested in reading it. But she just talked about the fact that he is such a forgotten character now in a world where there's a Superman, and now a Superboy who's been Superman. I guess he's Superboy again. I don't know. I'm kind of lost on that. So she presented a really impressive storyline that could have been an event story for all the Superman books. And when I read the pitch, I was reading all of that, and I was like, that could be a cool story. And that's gone, obviously. But it was leading up to where Connor was going to become Connie or Constance. I saw two different names, so I'm not sure. I've seen more Connie than Constance. So, but I guess Connie could be
short for Constance.
Yeah. So, where Connor would become Connie and be given the name Skyrocket. And as you can imagine, there were some hot comic book opinions about this. Some were very upset about the even possibility of this happening. Some were very okay with it. I understand where she's coming from, wanting representation in the books. I totally get that. I actually presented this link to a mutual friend of the fellowship who's a big Connor Kent fan. I said, you may want to read this. And his response was, I'm okay with it. That's fine. She has some points when she's talking about this whole thing. The thing that kind of sticks in my craw is it's not so much taking an established character, because Connor's been around. Connor was introduced into the Ring of Superman after they killed off Superman. So he's been around 30 years. It's not so much that that she wanted to do this, but it just seems like as I told him, is like there's this thought process. Connor and some of these other characters who they're all of a sudden, well, like Tim Drake Robin, he's now bi. And things like this. It's like they're taking characters that at one time were the face of the publisher, and they've been kicked to the side to a degree. And now they're thinking, well, to make them relevant again, we need to change their orientation or their sexual preference or something like that. And but I also know if Magdalene created a new character, gave him a new code name, and said this is a transgender woman, it may not get a lot of support. There will be a lot of people picking up the first issue because they're curious, but beyond that, God knows, because that is us as readers. If you do something different, especially new characters, you kind of fade away. They're not supported unless there's something special. But if you take an established character and then do something like this, it may cause some friction and all that. Then it may get some more support because all of a sudden it's an established character or it's an established code name or something like that. So I kind of get that, but I just have some problems with it. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I think the problem becomes, I mean, you're screwing around with established characters, and there's a certain segment of your readership that's never going to approve of that in any way, regardless of how you're screwing around with them. I mean, yes, there's quite a bit of anti-trans sentiment in the country right now. So that's an especially hot topic.
Right.
But people get bitchy when you change the color of the costumes of their favorite characters. And this is not going to be any better than that, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a dangerous road because the very real prospect for DC as a publisher is you're going to lose readers, and you're also going to get a bunch of negative media coverage. So, I mean, that alone is a reason to just say nope and throw it in the file 13.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they already kind of do something like this with Connor and it didn't go over well? And
not that I'm aware of. I mean, they killed him off at one point, but I don't know about trying to change him into a transgender woman or something.
That's killing him off. That's kind of a lifestyle change too. I
mean,
yeah.
Well, Jonathan was made to be gay.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking you were believing. So
yeah, I think you're right.
And the problem I have with Connor is, are the people going to accept it just in the respect that you already have a Connor, do you not?
Yeah.
Isn't Connor the son of Green Arrow?
Well, it's Connor Hawke, yeah.
So.
And he's asexual.
Yeah. So to me, don't start playing with all of these thoughts. To me, kind of stick with what you do have and build from that. I don't think that they'll listen to me, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with that either. To me, you have a character that's been around for quite some time. Now with Jonathan Kent, he was fairly new. So I don't think people would object all that much to that.
Yeah.
But when you've got somebody pretty much established, don't go near it.
Yeah. Well, people are creatures of habit, you know.
And comics folks, I mean, and honestly, you can tell this by the fact that many of them are collectors, are pretty much addicted to their own nostalgia.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly they don't want things to change. And I mean, that's not a knock. That's just kind of the way it looks.
Well, you like it the way it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you've been buying it for X
number
of years, is because that's what you like. And I mean, for my money, the flip side of that is this is comics we're talking about. More than likely, you're going to reverse the change in a year anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of in a way the perfect medium to test stuff out like this. I mean, do I think it's a good idea? I don't know. I mean, yes and no. Is it reversible? I mean, this is comics. Almost everything's reversible.
Everything is.
So, I mean, in a way, why not? Why not test the theory a little bit? I don't know. I could see him going either way.
'Cause you could do too much damage you can't repair.
Can you though? I don't know.
Sometimes like
I think
Les
that
was talking earlier about the Flash movie. There's just some damage you can't repair. The backlash and everything else that the movie received beforehand, that can't really be fixed. You can hope for some time to go by and people forget about it and then watch it, or
they tried because they delayed the hell out of it, but yeah.
Yeah. But now that it's already out, I think that was the big thing. People were still holding out for, this isn't going to happen, But now that it's already out and it's there,
and quite a few people have
some time,
and quite a few people have pretended that it hasn't happened, and which is why it didn't do all that well. But anyway,
right.
So that's a good way to vote if you're not paying attention. Is if you don't pay the money and consume it, then they'll hear that too. So I mean.
So I think as far as I go on this story, this is going to sound horrible, but I don't really care because I don't read it. So it's like,
No, you're already voting with your dollars.
Right. I don't know a lot about Connor. I don't really know a lot outside of Superman, and that's pretty much the title I stay in. Now, if they were talking about doing this to Superman, no, I don't.
Oh God.
Yeah, right.
I think the world would spin backwards.
But,
call back. He could save Lois.
He could save Lois. That would be cool.
He could, yeah. Or Lewis. No judgment.
Right. Good point. Good point.
But yeah, I think if you're going to do something, I mean, it is controversial. If you're going to do something as controversial as this, you would want to go to maybe a smaller character who doesn't have like a whole huge canon family, and try it that way. That way you still got a little footing because people know something about them, but it's not been set in stone, so to speak. And yes, some characters do lose momentum and interest after a while, but I don't know. I kind of fall back on if it's something that appeals to them and relates to them. Why would the interest die out?
Here's another thing you could do to test the waters and see how something's going to go over. Have the writer leak it.
Yeah. Or crowdfund it. Throw it up on Kickstarter or something. Those who want to read the story, let them, And you can tell then, like you said, voting with your dollars. Mm-hmm. You can see then who's interested in this, how many people are interested in it.
It would have to be a generic character because she wouldn't be able to use Connor.
Yeah, she wouldn't. True. DC could.
Yeah, but Liz was talking about crowdfunding the story, but it would have to be tailored to someone, a creator-owned character. She can't use Connor, can't. Which kind of defeats. Right.
She couldn't, but DC could.
Yeah.
DC could Kickstarter it.
Yeah, DC maybe. I don't know if they would release it on their major label, maybe like their Black Label or a.
You're not going to give up on the Black Label, are you?
Right.
No.
I keep hoping for something exciting.
I know. I know you do.
Give me some edgy.
I would love to see something just for your sake, but
yes.
I don't think it's going to happen.
But see, I think this is why they made that label. That way you're not messing with your bread and butter. Your kids are still going to college,
This is what they told themselves.
Test on.
This is what they told themselves so that they could try to get away with some stuff. And it didn't work. And so it's not happening that way. So it became something else within 6 months.
Yeah.
Than what they claimed they originally wanted it to be.
Just
and my
smaller
guess,
label of
and
DC.
my guess was that was never really what they wanted in the first place. That they were just sort of trying to fool us and themselves at the same time. But
yeah.
Anyway,
you You saw how quickly they moved Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen over there.
Yeah.
And said, okay, it's Black Label now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing but, I mean, it wasn't even Elseworlds at the time. It was just a story.
See, and I think the more controversial adult stories, that's where they should go. You know, that way, if you get somebody who gets pissed off or wants to raise their voice, they can go, hey, that's why we put it on the Black Label. It's not for everybody. It's
Right,
more
it's
adult.
Supposed to be edgy and cool, man.
Yeah. You know, if you don't want that stuff, stick over here to our regular label, and that's where you're going to find that.
And they backpedaled on that so fast, they made their own heads spin, and
they did.
It's never going to be what you want it to be. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Right.
Well, and didn't they get rid of Vertigo? Because Vertigo was really good about putting out their comics, you know.
Basically, they just transferred all of Vertigo over to the Black Label, and then, they
canned
closed down Vertigo.
Huh.
But anyway.
So there's ways they could do it.
There are ways they could do it.
They can't take the heat.
They can't envision themselves doing that.
Yep. So could DC publish a story like that? No. Hell no. They wouldn't do that because...
Bottom line.
Yeah. Well, and they're pusses. They can't take the heat, you know.
They have a different set of priorities than you. That doesn't necessarily make them pusses. I mean, it kind of does, but that's not the point.
It does. But they cave to voices that aren't even adding anything to their bank account. So, yeah. So a great ideal, because like you said, there is not much representation. I don't think she could have done it with the character she was wanting to do it with, but that's not saying she shouldn't do it at all.
Right. And it's out there now, and she can come back in 3 years and pitch it again and maybe get a different answer. Who knows?
Yeah. Or maybe somebody else will pick her up and do her Supernova ideal and screw DC. You know, who needs you? I have my ideal for my character. It's not based on anything DC has. That's why they canned it, you know.
Maybe.
Go to Image. Kirkman would love it.
She's been published by several prominent publishers anyway. So.
Well, she did Kim and Kim, didn't she? Which was really huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's got the name for her.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, see what the general reaction is and go talk to Image or 424. They're also not, are they still around? Or Bad Ideal. They're always looking for stuff.
Okay. Any special shout outs or mentions this week?
No, not me.
Not here.
Okay, well, we'll just go on to our regular shout-outs. Excuse me. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes to Culture for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. There'll be a link in the show notes where you can check out their network. We also want to thank all the fine men and women who've been so kind enough to spread the word of the fellowship by retweeting our links. That is Potter and Family. Best way to check them out is just do a search, hashtag Potter and Family. That's all one word. Just scroll through whatever catches your eye. Click on that link and download that episode. Hope you have a great time listening to them. Also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying music to our podcast. In our show notes, you can check out a link that we'll provide. You can hear some of their other music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website and go to the About Us tab, and there's a contact form that you can fill out there. If you join our Discord, we do have a channel specifically for feedback. You can post your thoughts there. On social media, Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. On Instagram, Twitter, and Hive Social, we are at Fellowship Geeks. If you'd like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at TomTC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, and let me know how the movie was.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We appreciate the support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,